Humanity is trapped in a deadly energy dilemma. We depend on fossil fuels that poison our atmosphere or on nuclear energy that leaves a trail of toxic radioactive waste for thousands of years. Our hunger for electricity only grows. Electric cars, data centers, artificial intelligence. We need more energy than the Earth can provide without charging too high a price. But the answer to save our planet may not be down here. It is floating above our heads, 380,000 kilometers away, the moon. For decades, we looked at the moon as a dead desert. We were wrong. It is actually a giant battery charged by the sun, filled with a rare isotope called helium-3. To understand why, we need to look at the sun. It constantly emits a flow of charged particles called solar wind. The Earth has a magnetic field that protects us by blocking these particles. But the moon is bare. It has no atmosphere or magnetic field. For 4 billion years, the lunar surface has been bombarded by this solar wind, absorbing helium-3 like a cosmic sponge. The result? The lunar soil, the regolith, is saturated with this gas. It is estimated that there are more than 1 million tons of helium-3 trapped in the gray dust of the moon. Why does this matter? Because helium-3 is the perfect fuel for nuclear fusion, the holy grail of physics. Today's nuclear power plants operate through fission. They break heavy uranium atoms, generating heat, but also dangerous radioactive waste that we need to bury. Nuclear fusion is the opposite. It combines atoms, as the sun does. Most current research uses deuterium and tritium. It works, but it releases high-energy neutrons that make the reactor itself radioactive. This is where helium-3 changes the game. Helium-3 fusion is aneutronic. It does not release neutrons. The reaction produces only energy and harmless protons. This means no long-lasting radioactive waste, no risk of catastrophic meltdown. And, theoretically, we can convert the energy from protons directly into electricity without needing to boil water to spin turbines. The energy density is absurd. Just 25 tons of helium-3, which would fit in the cargo hold of a single old space shuttle, could power the entire United States for a year. This makes helium-3 the most valuable substance in the solar system. The estimated value is around $4 billion per ton. It is the oil of the 21st century. But extracting it is a titanic challenge. The gas is not in puddles, it is trapped in the dust. To obtain a ton of helium-3, we will need to process 150 million tons of lunar soil. Imagine a planetary-scale mining operation. Gigantic machines heating the ground to 600 degrees Celsius to release gas, all of this in a vacuum and low gravity. Who is leading this race? The answer may surprise the West. It's China. While NASA focuses on bringing humans back, China focuses on resources. China's Chang'e program has been methodical. The Chang'e 5 mission brought back samples from the moon specifically to analyze the concentration of nuclear isotopes. In 2022, Chinese scientists announced the discovery of a new lunar mineral, changesite. It is a columnar phosphate crystal, and within it they found helium-3. China not only found, they announced that they have already calculated the amount of the reserves. They are treating the moon as a strategic economic zone. Their plan is clear. The International Lunar Research Station, the ILRS, planned for the 2030s, will have in situ mining and processing capabilities. And the United States? The focus of NASA's Artemis program is primarily on water at the South Pole to sustain life and create rocket fuel to go to Mars. The U.S. government left helium-3 to the private sector. Companies like Interloon, founded by former executives of Blue Origin, were created with the sole purpose of mining this gas. The missing piece was cheap transportation. With the arrival of SpaceX's Starship, the cost of transporting heavy machinery and bringing the gas back drops drastically, making the business viable. The economy works. The cost of mining and transporting is high, but when the product is worth billions per ton, the potential profit justifies the trillion-dollar initial investment. However, there is a technical obstacle here on Earth. Having the perfect fuel is useless if we don't have the engine. We have not yet mastered stable commercial nuclear fusion. But this is also changing. Companies like Helion Energy are building reactors specifically designed to use helium-3, using pulsed magnetic fields instead of giant tokamaks. Technology is advancing so quickly that Microsoft has already signed contracts to purchase fusion energy starting in 2028. The market is betting that fusion will happen. The combination of lunar mining with nuclear fusion could be the turning point for human civilization. It is the end of scarcity. Imagine a world where energy is so abundant and clean that we no longer need to burn anything, where the carbon footprint of electricity generation drops to zero. But this also creates a new geopolitics. If the moon becomes the new Saudi Arabia of energy, those who control the lunar territories set the rules on Earth. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty states that no one can own the moon. But the United States and China are creating their own rules through the Artemis Accords and parallel alliances. The practical rule is, whoever arrives first, sets up the base, and starts digging will have effective possession of the resources. The law follows the established fact. We are not talking about distant science fiction. Robotic missions for prospecting are already being launched this decade. Helium-3 is not the only prize. By processing the soil to extract the gas, we also obtain oxygen, iron, aluminum, and titanium as byproducts. The mining of helium-3, ironically, will provide the building materials for human colonies. It is a virtuous cycle of space industrialization. Skeptics say it's too difficult. But we said the same about extracting oil from the seabed or about solar energy 50 years ago. Space technology is at its fastest pace since the 1960s. The cost per kilogram launched into space has dropped by 90% in the last 10 years. The competition among superpowers, although dangerous, is the catalyst that will make this happen. The fear of falling behind moves mountains and moves planets. Helium-3 offers a tempting promise. The chance to undo the environmental damage of the Industrial Revolution without having to return to the Stone Age. Renewable energies like solar and wind are vital, but they are intermittent. Helium-3 fusion provides the baseload, the constant energy that keeps hospitals and factories running at night. Maybe in the future, when we look at the moon, we will not see just poetry and romance. We will see the lights of the mines that keep the Earth alive. Automated space freighters will routinely make the Earth-Moon route, bringing gas cylinders worth more than the GDP of entire countries. The birth of the world's first trillion-dollar company will likely happen in this sector. The gold rush of the Old West is small compared to the helium rush. But we must ask ourselves, do we have the right to industrialize the moon? To mark the face of our natural satellite with scars of mining? It's an ethical dilemma. But when the alternative is climate collapse on Earth, the choice may be inevitable, sacrificing the lunar landscape to save the Earth's biosphere. The ideal would be for this energy to be a common good of humanity, not a monopoly of a nation. But history teaches us that power tends to concentrate. The technology for this already exists in the laboratory. The transport is being built. The political will is awakening. Helium-3 is no longer just a theory. We are one engineering discovery away from unlocking the age of abundance. Aneutronic fusion is the fire of the gods, and Prometheus is going to the moon to fetch it. The next 20 years will define the energy infrastructure for the next 1,000 years. Our grandchildren will study this moment as the beginning of Type 1 civilization. Remember the name Changeosite. This small Chinese crystal was the starting shot of a marathon that has no visible finish line. The Earth needs healing. The moon has the remedy. The only question that remains is, will we have the courage and cooperation needed to go there and get it? The engines are being started, the maps are being drawn, the silence of space is about to be broken by the sound of industry. Helium-3 is the promise of a future where energy is clean, cheap, and available for everyone. A dream worth pursuing, even if we have to go to the moon to achieve it. It's worth it to protect this, the only home we have. The next time you look at the moon, remember, that is not just reflected light. It is the future of energy. This is the final frontier of the economy, and the race has already begun. Thank you for joining us in this investigation about the future of our species. If you believe in clean energy, share this video. Information is the first step towards change. Subscribe for more science, technology, and future. Until the next mission.